Hello, my wonderful students and chemistry lovers. Today I'm going to talk to you about molecular orbital theory. My name is Dr. Lotanna Okwesili, and I'm going to serve today as your guide in this interesting lecture and conversation. Okay? So when you talk about molecular orbital theory, we are talking about how covalent bond is made when two atomic orbitals combine or overlap to make equal number of molecular orbitals. So here you say that the number of orbitals are conserved. What we mean simply is that the number of atomic orbitals that combine will equal to the total number of molecular orbitals that are made. In essence, if two atomic orbitals combine or overlap, whichever word you want to use, you are going to ultimately have two molecular orbitals that are made, okay, or two molecular orbitals that are formed in the process. Nice. So when you're able to depict what we call the molecular orbital diagram of a given molecule of interest, from that particular molecular orbital diagram, you can be able to deduce what we call the bond order of that particular covalent molecule. Using this formula, half of the bonding electrons minus the anti-bonding electrons. Once we begin to draw the molecular orbital diagrams, you understand what we mean by bonding electrons and the anti-bonding electrons. Nice. So the bond order that we have calculated or we will calculate from the molecular orbital diagrams, we are going to, the bonding order is going to tell us about the bond strength, the bond length, and of course the stability of the covalent molecule that we have made. So when we talk about the stability of a molecule, we are talking about the potential energy that it possesses. We are going to explain that going forward. So suffice it to say that the higher, if you get higher bond order, that is equivalent to stronger bond and of course shorter bond and of course more stable bonds. Okay, bonds that are more stable has lower or less potential energy. It means that that molecule is less reactive. Okay, it's stable and less reactive. Why? Because it has higher bond order and vice versa. Nice. Example, the first example they gave us to look at is they say give us or draw the molecular orbital diagram of hydrogen molecule and deduce its bond order. It is important to recall that hydrogen molecule is made when hydrogen atom, of course, combine with another hydrogen atom. All right, so we're dealing with two hydrogen combining or overlapping with their valence orbitals to make the hydrogen molecule. Recall that this atom has one s electron or orbital, and of course the second one has one s orbital, okay, in terms of electronic configuration. So if we are mixing these two atomic orbitals to make the molecular orbital, the diagram will recall that this is the first hydrogen atom, and here represent the second hydrogen atom. The first hydrogen atom has one box since it is a 1s orbital, and this has another one box since it is a 1s orbital. So this is an atomic orbital of the first hydrogen. This atomic orbital has one electron, okay, and this of course is the second atomic orbital of the second hydrogen atom. That's 1s1 and 1s1. Nice. So when two atomic orbitals, according to molecular orbital theory, combine or overlap, they make two equal number of what? Molecular orbital. Molecular orbitals are made where one molecular orbital is below in energy than those two combining atomic orbitals, while the other one is higher in energy. Permit me to use an arrow pointing upward to show what we call increasing energy. Orbitals of increasing what? Energy. You see the way energy is. So this particular orbital, molecular orbital of lower energy, is called the sigma 1s orbital. And this is called sigma star 1s orbital. As a matter of fact, this is called the bonding orbital. The bonding orbital, okay, that contains the bonding electrons, while the sigma star is called the anti-bonding molecular orbital. Anti-bonding molecular orbital. Why this is what? Bonding molecular orbital. Beautiful. So the bonding molecular orbital contains the bonding electrons, while the anti-molecular orbital contains the anti-bonding electrons. The next thing you are going to do is use a dotted line to join this to this. Okay, use a dotted line to join this to this. Use a dotted line to join this to this, and use a dotted line to join this to this. So two atomic orbitals combine or overlap to make two molecular orbitals. One is called what? The bonding molecular orbital containing the bonding electrons, while the second one is called the high energy is called anti-bonding molecular orbital. Okay, and those ones contain the anti-bonding electrons. So when this 1s electron bonds or combines with 1s electron from the other one, you see that they will have the bonding molecular orbital. We have two electrons, one from here, one from here. So here you now have your hydrogen molecule formed. You discover that the orbital of high energy, that is the anti-bonding molecular orbital, is empty because we have exhausted the 1s electron here, has entered here, 1s electron has entered here. But it's also important for us to know that we still have made two molecular orbitals from these two atomic orbitals. The only difference is that in the bonding molecular orbital we have two electrons, in the anti-bonding molecular orbital we have 0 electrons. It's empty, but the orbital is there. Nice. This particular anti-bonding has, okay, the center of it is called the node or the nodal plane. The node or the nodal plane. Okay, the idea here is that the node is a region with lowest probability or propensity of finding electron. We'll come to that next time. Beautiful. The next thing we are going to do when we get here is to calculate what we call the bond order. To calculate the bond order. To calculate the bond order is what? Bonding electron minus anti-bonding electron divided by 2. It's the same thing as here. So you ask yourself, the bond order is equal to how many bonding electrons do we have? The bonding molecular orbital contains 2 electrons. So that is it. 2 minus the anti-bonding molecular orbital contains 0 electrons. 0 over 2. So at the end of the year, 2 minus 0 is 2 over 2. The bond order is 1. Therefore, if the bond order is 1, that is why that you have that in hydrogen molecule, you have a single covalent bond. If you have the bond order of 1, that means a single covalent molecule is made. That is why hydrogen molecule has a single covalent bond, since the bond order is equal to 1. Nice. Beautiful. All right. What if they ask you to determine, as question number 2, to give the MO diagram? What if they ask you to give the MO diagram of oxygen gas? How do you go about this? It's important to understand that the electronic configuration of oxygen gas is 1s2, okay, 2s2 and 2p4. Since the atomic number, since the Z, atomic number of oxygen, Z, atomic number of oxygen is equal to 8, okay? So that is the electronic configuration. And since you are dealing with 2 oxygen atoms, you understand that there is 1 oxygen atom this side and there is another oxygen atom this side. 2 oxygen atoms combine to give us the oxygen gas, oxygen molecule. Remember, you have your 1s2, 2s2, and 2p what? 4. For this, you also have your what? 1s2, 2s2, and 2p4, representing the electronic configuration of both. It's also important for you to know that this belongs to the K shell, while these two belong to the L shell. This is a K shell, and this is what? L shell. For bonding to be formed, bonding are formed with electrons in the valence shell. Okay, so this molecule is going to overlap or make a molecular orbital diagram with the electrons in the K shell. it has no business with electrons in the 1s2 orbital, since they are inner core electrons. So when we want to depict the molecular orbital diagrams, we are going to focus here. 2 plus 4 is 6 electrons. So for the first oxygen atom, we have 6 electrons to work with. For the second oxygen atoms, we also have 6 electrons to work with. So the 2 electrons here are the inner core electrons. We are not using it for making of chemical bonds, okay? They are not going to be used for overlapping to form the molecular orbital diagram. So if you check it, we have 6 plus 6, okay, which is equal to 12 electrons. This is what we are going to distribute to make the molecular orbital diagram. Nice. So let's have this in mind. Having said this, let's start with the 2, okay, s orbital. Remember, every s orbital, we are dealing with oxygen here, and we are dealing with oxygen here, since we are talking about 2 atoms of oxygen. So here, you have any s orbital have 1 box. So here, you have 1 box that represents the 2s orbital. This 2s is where we are now. Okay, we have 1 box. Remember, we're going to make 2 equivalent number of molecular orbitals, 1 above the atomic orbitals that overlapped, 1 below. Remember, this one below is called what? Sigma 2s orbital. This one is called what? Sigma star 2s orbital. Nice. Okay, remember, we have 2 electrons here, 1 up, 1 down. We have 2 electrons here. You can see it's 1 up, 1 down. Okay, so what happens is that, remember, you use the arrow, the dotted lines to join this and this. Again, you use the dotted lines to join this, and to use the dotted lines to also join this. Beautiful. So this is sigma 2s orbital, the bonding orbital, and this is sigma star 2s orbital, the anti-bonding orbital. Nice. When you have done this, you go to the 2p. Beautiful. We are now in the 2p. Okay. Remember, 2p is a degenerate orbital that has 3. Remember, it's a degenerate orbital. 2p sublevel have x, y, and what? And z. Beautiful. You come here again, you have your 2p. That means we are dealing with 3 orbitals in 1. So this is 2p sublevel. Beautiful. This is 2p, this is 2p. So we are going to distribute the electrons we have there. It's a degenerate orbital. You have 1 up, 1 up, 1 up. It's 4 electrons. Then you put 1 down. Just to settle that atomic orbital, for this one, you have 1 up, 1 up, 1 up. Orbitals of equal energy. According to Hundu's rule, you spread the electrons before you double up. So when you now double up, you have completed 4 here. So you have settled those that atomic orbital. Next thing you are going to do, you ask yourself, of course, this is x, y, and what? Z. You ask yourself, you are trying to overlap these orbitals. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 orbitals. So if you have 6 orbitals, since it's 3 2p's here and 3 2p's, so 6 orbitals are overlapping or combining, we are going to have 6 molecular orbitals. That is critical. Okay, so if that is the case, you are going to have orbitals like this, okay, of the lowest energy, and the second one is going to be orbital of equal energy, degenerate orbital. So here you have 1 orbital, here you have 2 orbitals. So here again, we are going to have the degenerate orbitals of equal energy here, 2, and you are going to have the third one here. Okay, this is how to draw it. So if you check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 atomic orbitals will give us 6 molecular orbitals. Okay, remember, number of orbitals are conserved. Beautiful. If you do that, okay, permit me to bring down this diagram a bit so that it will show the difference in what? Energy level, so that it will be clear. The difference in how this higher energy level and lower energy level will be so clear. Beautiful. So permit me to leave it like this. So remember, this is this. So if we want to label it, we are now in 2p. It will now be, this is sigma, note it, sigma 2pz orbital. Nice. After the sigma, at the 2p level, we begin to introduce what we call the pi bond, which I'm going to explain in the next lecture in what we call hybridization. Just follow me through now. At this level, you now have what we call pi, okay? We're still in the 2px, okay? Pi 2px, comma, 2py. This is, okay? Y, this is x orbital, this is y orbital, and this is z orbital, just like what we have here. In this case, it is important to understand that immediately after your pi, okay, pi bonding orbital, you're going to have your pi star before the sigma. Note that you have your pi star, okay? Again, this will be your what? Pi 2, because we are still in the p orbital, 2px, and of course your pi 2py. So after your pi star, you're going to now have your sigma star. What is remaining is the 2pz orbital. So that is how to label this molecular orbital. So we have 1, 2, 3 atomic orbital, 1, 2, 3, 6, giving us 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 molecular orbitals. Again, you use your arrow to join, okay? Use your dotted line, take it from here to here, okay? Use your dotted line, take it from here to here. Again, you can use your dotted line, join this to this, and join this to this. Again, you use your dotted line, and join this to this, and use your dotted line to join this to this. Beautiful. This is how to draw it. Now, the next thing you are going to do when you are done with this labeling is to now distribute your electrons. Recall, we have 12 electrons to work with. You know we have our 1s orbital somewhere here. We are not interested in it since these electrons in the 1s orbitals are not used for bonding, so we didn't bother about it. Already we know we have put 4 electrons in the two 1s orbitals, okay? On that. So, but we are not interested in those 1s orbitals. Like we said, they are not involved in chemical bonding. So that's why we talk about 2 plus 2. In the 1s orbital, 4 electrons, okay? So we're not talking about it. So what we are distributing is 2 plus 4 is 6 electron, 2 plus 4 is 6 electron, total of 12 electrons. Nice. So here we are dealing, remember, total of 12 electrons. So we're going to distribute. You say 1 up, 1 down, because this is 1s orbital. 1 up, 1 down, because this is 1s orbital. Nice. When you have done this, out of the 12 electrons, you have put 4 remaining 8. Beautiful. You come here, you add 1 up, you add 1 down. So at the end of the day, 2, 4, 6. How many is remaining? 6 electrons. Now you are an orbital of equal energy, degenerate orbital. So you put 1 up, put 1 up, okay? You come back, put 1 down. So you check 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, okay? So you still have 3 electrons to put to meet up with 12. So you put 1 down. So 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So you still have 2 electrons. That means 1 up, 1 up, since you are dealing with a degenerate orbital. So this is exactly how to be able to draw your molecular orbital and label it. So now, the next thing we are going to find is what we call the bond order. Beautiful, the bond order. So remember that bond order, the bond order, this is nice, is equal to the total number of bonding electron minus total number of anti-bonding electron divided by 2. So you ask yourself, let's take a count. What is the total number of bonding electron? Remember, this is a bonding electron, this is a bonding electron, these are bonding electron, while these ones are the what? Anti-bonding electron. So this is an anti-bonding orbital, this is an anti-bonding orbital. Because of the star, this is an anti-bonding orbital. This is a bonding orbital, and bonding orbital. So let's count. In the bonding orbital here, sigma 2s orbital, we have 2 electrons, 2, 4, 6, 8. So we have total of 8 bonding electrons. In this anti-bonding electron, we have 2 electrons, okay? So this is 2. In these 2 anti-bonding electrons, we have 1, 2, okay? So here, again, the anti-bonding is 2 here, the anti-bonding is 2 here, which is 4. So 8 minus 4 divided by 2 is equal to what? 4 over 2. And when you say 4 over 2 is equal to 2, so the bond order of O2 molecule is equal to 2. And that is why that oxygen molecule will always make double bond. You see it? So the bond order tells us the number of chemical bonds that are made. It's also important for you to know that the more the number of the bond, the shorter the bond. Again, the higher the bond order, the shorter the bond. So ultimately, it's important to note that if you had the first bond we made, the hydrogen bond, okay, will definitely have a longer bond than oxygen gas. Let me say it again, okay? The covalent bond in hydrogen gas will definitely be longer than the covalent bond in oxygen gas. Why? Because if you have a single bonds are longer than double bonds, while double bonds are ultimately longer than triple bond, which we are going to depict when we get to nitrogen molecule as well. So now that you have understood this, the last thing I want us to explain, okay, is if you are asked to write the electronic configuration of the molecular orbital diagram or molecular orbital diagram of oxygen gas, we are going to now look at what we have, okay? Remember in the K shell, okay? In the K shell, okay, you say KK representing the two K shells, which is this, okay? The KK representing this K shell, 1s2 and 1s2, okay? Now, after the KK, you now start distributing. So here you have what? You have your sigma, okay? 2s contains 2 electrons, nice. Next one, you move up, you have your what? Your sigma star 2s contains 2 electrons as well, nice. You move here, you have that your sigma 2pz contains how many electrons? 2, nice. Again, you move up, you see that your pi 2px contains how many electrons? 2 electrons. And your pi, okay, 2py also contains how many electrons? 2 electrons. While your what? Your 2p, your pi star 2px electron orbital contains 1 electron, and your pi star 2py also contains 1 electron. So this is actually the electronic configuration of the molecular orbital of oxygen gas. Nice. So the beautiful thing here again is that we are able to use the molecular orbital diagram to see how electrons in the atomic orbitals of oxygen gas overlapped or combined to make the molecular orbital. And we're able to use the molecular orbital diagram to calculate the bond order. And we say that the higher the bond order, okay, the stronger the covalent bond, and of course, the shorter the covalent bond, and of course, ultimately, the more stable. If that is said, that means that oxygen gas has higher bond order than hydrogen gas. And in that case, the single covalent bond in hydrogen gas is longer than the double covalent bond in oxygen gas. So the higher the bond order, the shorter the bond order, the less strong the bond. That means that single covalent bond in hydrogen gas, which has a bond order of 1, okay, is lesser in strength than the double covalent bond in hydrogen gas with what? With bond order of 2. So the higher the bond order, the shorter the bond, and the stronger the bond, okay, and the more stable, okay, the molecule. What that means is that oxygen gas is more stable than hydrogen gas. Say it the other way, it means that hydrogen gas is more reactive or more unstable than what? Oxygen gas. These are the information we want you to understand at the molecular orbital theory at this level. I don't know if you enjoyed this lecture and the way we were able to break it down to the best of our ability. Just give me the like button, click on the like button or the love button, make comments, ask questions, and of course, share this video so that many students who are struggling with foundational aspects of chemistry can lay hold of this and see and enjoy the revolution we are bringing in chemistry. I don't know if you enjoyed yourself. I don't know if you learned anything. What I want you to do is, again, share it, use the invite buttons, invite your friends and well-wishers to come and be part of what we are doing with chemistry lovers. And until next time, remain safe. Bye.